Okay, so what we're going to talk about here, I've already showed you how to prepare the patches, and we're going to work on the next section. Basically what I do is prep out enough to fit in this hoop, get them all in place, and then stitch them down, and then move on to the next section. So you can see I have a bunch of stuff here, and I'm going to move into the next section. So I'm going to position my hoop in here so that I've got a little bit of these, because I'm going to build off of these patches into this empty space. I'm going to leave all these safety pins in here now. I've got a top layer, a batting, and a backing all basted together with the pins. So the first thing you do is take your frame and you slide it underneath the quilt. And then I get it positioned so that my clamps are not going to hit any of these pins. So I'm just trying to make sure that the frame is going where there are no pins. And then you take these clamps that are just like a partial PVC thing, and I'm going to stand this up, and you just clamp them on there. And I do two opposite each other. Oops. So I did get a couple of pins in there, so I'm just going to take those pins out. And I'm going to get this opposing clamp on, and then I do the two on the sides. And at this point I'm not worried about getting it super tight. I'll do that next. Now once you get all four of the clamps on, you tighten it just by rolling them to the outside, and that'll tighten up. You want this almost drum tight in here. So the next thing we're going to do is put some patches down. I have a whole bunch of patches prepared here, so these have all had their edges folded under, and they are all done with starch, so they're going to stay held. I'm not going to be able to use all of these in here, but this is going to give me a lot to choose from. So I'm just going to pull this to the side for a second, and I want to start with kind of maybe a blue, because I've got some pinks and a green and a yellow in here, so I want to have a different color, and that'll fit nicely up in there. I want to leave enough space between the patches that I'll get a couple of rows of stitching in there, so I'm going to just lightly set that there. I'm not going to glue anything down until I have an idea of what's going to fit in there. So now I'm looking for something that'll fit in here, and that'll fit. And now I've got a nice triangle shape here, and I have a triangle that I prepped, so I'm going to set that there. And I've got another pointy shape there. We haven't had pink for a little bit, so I'll get that pink one in there. And I'll take out that pin when I'm ready to glue it down. And then I've done something here that I don't like to do. I usually prefer not to box myself in, so now I'm looking for a very specific shape. I think I'm going to have a shape for that, but if I don't, I might take this one out and put something else in, maybe start working from this side and see if I have something in there. So it's just a matter of trial and error. That's why I don't glue it down until I've got them all set. But I think I can fit this. No, that purple one's too big. That purple's too big. But that orange will work. So I'll put that orange in there. And I haven't had a long skinny shape for a while. So I think I'm going to put this maybe along there, give it a little bit more room. And now, do I have something that'll fit? Well, I don't want to do two oranges next to each other. Oh, I like how that looks. So I have left myself an awkward shape there, so I might need to go back and custom cut a piece that'll fit in there. But I like how everything else is looking, so I might do that. Or I could slide this up some, or take that out completely and maybe try this yellow in here, create a row going out like that, and then a different purple up there. So it's just a matter of kind of playing around, and I'm getting awfully close to that side over there, so I probably won't use this one. It often happens that I can't fill up a frame completely, But I've got a couple of little pieces in here. Oh, I like how that looks. And I've got this long, skinny green one, but that I think is, could have put that there. Now I've created a little box for myself here. So I think I'm going to go back. I really liked how that looked, so I'm going to do that. And I might just leave the rest of these spaces around here now to go for when I've moved the frame. So you're never going to fill it completely. You don't want to have a bunch of square edges. You want an irregular shape in here so that it'll nestle seamlessly into the next hoop section when you do that. So I'm going to take my leftover pieces and set them aside for the next time. And now I'm going to use a glue stick. You could pin these on here with safety pins, just like you're basting, but when I'm doing hand stitching, I don't want anything that's going to tend to snag my thread. It drives me crazy to hook my needle and thread on something. So I like to use a glue stick. This is a fabric glue stick. It'll wash right out the first time you wash the quilt. And I'm just going to do one piece here. I'll start with this green one. And I don't do the whole thing, but I do a little dab all around the edges. So that was a little dab all the way around the edge, and then I just put it in place and press it down. Once I get these all glued down, when I do my stitching, the first thing I do is stitch once around each patch so that they're held down, and my needle and thread also won't snag on the little corners. That's just a little trick. So I'm going to go through and glue down all of these pieces just like that one. I'm going to flip them over, glue around the edge, and then pop them back in place. And then I'm going to show you how I sit at the couch and do this stitching.